Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here, welcome back to the Railway and welcome to another Bachmann, Thomas & Friends review. Last month I did a review of this. It is the new Bachmann Busy Bee James and I really enjoyed reviewing it. It was fantastic to be looking at the Bachmann Thomas & Friends range again, and you guys in the comments said that you'd like to see more reviews like that. So today I have an even more exciting one, well I think it is anyway. It is this. It is the LBSC Thomas, number 70, and I believe this is supposed to be Thomas's original livery from Thomas & Friends The Adventure Begins. I think it was a TV special where Thomas sort of came to Sodor, and this is what he looked like. And as you can tell, it is super cool. I never expected Bachmann to release a model of Thomas looking just like this, but it's really cool that they did, and I can't wait to see this. So how much did this cost? Well, the RRP is $109. Woo, that's insane. That's about £80 if we convert it to Great British pounds. But I bought mine from Tootley Thomas for £70. So thank you very much, Tootley Thomas, for the good price there. Now, why on earth is this as expensive as that? Usually when I ask that question, people say, it's the licensing fees, it's the licensing, it's the licensing. Like, how much do you think the licensing actually costs for something like this? As we know, Bachmann don't need licensing to make their products too expensive, in my opinion anyway. Maybe this will be really impressive. Maybe they will have souped it up and upgraded it, and maybe I'll eat my words and say that this was worth every penny. For all I know, that could be the case. I don't make up my mind until I have the model in my hands and I've taken a good look. So I'm not going to be all bitter today, because I know I'm a bit miserable, aren't I, banging on about the price and everything. Hopefully this will be good fun. Hopefully we'll all enjoy it. So let's get him out. The LBSC Thomas number 70. Let's see what it's like. And so on that note, I'm not going to go whittering on about the packaging. We all know as an expensive collector's item, some sort of reusable presentation box would be much better than the blister pack, but blah, blah, blah. I've already gone on about all of that. So let's get to figuring out what this is like and deciding whether or not this is something you want to buy for your kid. So let me show you the back of the box. So here are some of the other Thomas & Friends characters you can buy, as well as some of the other more minor characters down at the bottom there. I've got reviews on most of those, so if you want to check those out, please do. Also, I will reiterate, as you can see down in the corner here, that this is supposed to be for ages 8 and up. So as always, although, you know, much younger kids are going to be interested in these, be very careful about giving it to kids that age, because Thomas especially, in fact, has a lot of tiny parts, you know, choking hazards, all of that, blah, 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 metal parts and such, broken teeth. Yeah, just be very careful, and I would stick to that 8+ rating if I were you. Okay, right. Everybody's tetanus friend Rusty is to the rescue. Let's see if we can get this open. Again, definitely don't let your kids do this bit. I know I do say this every time, but I guess I just have to be careful and make sure I do reiterate that every time, just in case anybody tries to replicate what silly me is doing. All right, okay, I think that's done actually. That did not take as long as last time. I must be getting better. Right, let's have a look at the paperwork. I'm sorry, I know this is not as interesting, but I know people do like to see inside here. So here we go. Here is the diagram. You can see how the loco goes together there. You've got the motor. I'm not sure if it's a 3 or a 5-pole motor in this one. I might attempt a little bit of disassembly, but I'm not sure whether I'll actually be able to see the motor. It did say on the box, but yes, this does have the moving eye mechanism, which, let's be honest, is a bit terrifying. It certainly scared me when I first saw it, but it is a pretty cool feature. And you can see some of the gearing on the diagram there to show how that actually works, which is interesting. But go on then, let's pull out the loco himself. Oh, that was quite formal, wasn't it? I should probably just use his name. It's old Thomas. Cool. Look at that. That is super cool looking, actually, isn't it? Look at the way that shines. It is pretty nicely made, this one, I must say. I haven't had a chance to look up close at it yet, but the Busy Bee James wasn't very nicely painted, from what I remember. Yeah, you can kind of tell that the paintwork on this is much better. So there it is, the original Thomas LBSC green livery. And you know what? I don't know if this is sacrilege to say or not, but I think this actually looks better than the blue Thomas. I know the blue Thomas will always be the classic Thomas livery. I'm not saying this would ever be able to replace it, but just personally, I just think this looks a lot better. I love the lining and such. Yeah, it looks really good, does that. So let's take a close look at some of the details. Let's find out whether this is actually as nicely painted as it seems. And let's have a quick look and see whether it is any different to the standard Bachmann Thomas. Okay, so there he is, up close and personal for you, and there is one area of the model that I deliberately held off showing you until now. It is the face, and it is amazing. Are you ready for this? I don't think I am. Ugh! I can't believe that. You see, kids, this is why if somebody you don't know offers you medicine, you always refuse. Why does he look so manic? I don't understand it. Has he seen Satan coming and he's trying to warn us about it? I have no idea. Let's do a split screen between the new Thomas and the existing Bachmann one. Look, why is the LBSC Tom? Why are his eyes popping like that? Look at the difference in the eyebrows. Look at the mouths. Why does the new mouth? I don't know if it's moulded differently. Maybe it's just painted differently. But this is just insanity personified, isn't it? Literally, what is going on? Maybe that explains the green. Maybe he's not actually green. Maybe it's just all a big hallucination. I have no idea, but that face is one of the greatest things I have ever seen on a locomotive. That is definitely going to be my new channel profile picture. That is crazy. It was worth it. I'll take it all back. £70. It was worth every penny just for that face alone. I can't stop looking at it. In fact, it can't stop looking at me. Stop! It's hurting my eyes. Normality. Okay, let's talk about the model then. So I think it is pretty much the same model as the blue version, which is no surprise because we saw from the Busy Bee James that Bachmann can't be bothered to retool things because obviously that costs money, and therefore Bachmann would make less of it if they went down that route. I mean, to retool the Busy Bee James's face makes a bit of sense, but to be honest, I don't really see any reason why they would need to retool any aspect of the Thomas because obviously he doesn't need a different face or anything like that. So I think it is fair enough. The decoration, though, is really, really well done, isn't it? Look at this. So you've got the lining on the top of the boiler. I mean, that was pretty standard. We had that on the regular Thomas. It just was a slightly different colour, obviously. You've got the LBSC logo and the number along the side of the tank and the coal bunker, which looks absolutely fine. One feature I really like is the painted wheels. Look how nicely those are painted. I've seen serious models. I mean, not that this isn't a serious model, but I've seen like proper models of real locomotives which do not have wheels as nicely painted as this, so that is really quite impressive. I like the lamp on the back. We've got a red light instead of, I think it was like a grey light or something on the back, so that's nice. That's a little bit of a difference, and besides that there's a reasonable amount of detail. To be honest, it looks exactly like the character on TV. I'm no expert, so maybe the real experts among you will be able to spot some inaccuracies and things, but to the layman, just to an imbecile like me, this looks absolutely fine. Look, you've got the separately fitted whistles. They are obviously made of plastic, but that's fair enough. You don't really want separately fitted metal parts on a model that is for your youngsters, because that would not be smart. You've got nice realistic looking coal. I like that. That's very good. You've got actual lamp irons on the running plate. I don't know if they're separately fitted. They might be. You've got the vacuum pipes pre-fitted as well. That's really nice. You've got a lamp on the front, which I think is pretty decent. No real cab or anything. It is literally just a filled-in space, which is pretty typical of the Bachmann Thomas and Friends range. You've got these weird gaps on the front of the cab where the body fits together. Not so keen on that, but to be honest, that's the only real issue I would have with this. Yeah, unlike the James, and while of course I wouldn't recommend this for £70, it's just an insane amount of money for such a basic model, it is at least nicely built. I will say that for it, and the quality seems to be absolutely fine. However, I'm going to take this apart. We'll have a quick look at the mechanism, find out how easy it is to access the mechanism for cleaning and servicing and whatnot. That's quite important for a toy that's, let's be honest, more than likely going to be running on the carpet. I'll try and get a look at the motor, figure out whether it is a 3 or a 5 polar, although I can't remember how easy it is to actually do that. Anyway, we'll find all this out. Let's have a go. Okay, so there he is, Thomas the Insane Engine, down onto the track, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this runs. It's quite an interesting mechanism, this one, actually. Let me tell you a bit about it. So first of all, the first question was, how easy is this thing to access and maintain? Well, the good news is very, very easily. 3 screws on the base, and the base keeper plate comes straight off. There are no wires at all to mess about with, so you can really easily get to those wheels to clean them. As you can see, the wheels are driven just by the middle axle, which is nice and simple, although you can see that there are no proper bearings on the wheel set, which is embarrassingly bad, to be honest, isn't it? For a locomotive with an RRP of over $100, I mean, even Hornby's cheap Railroad 060s have proper bearings. I don't understand that. Anyway, the really interesting part is the motor. Here is the motor on the old Bachmann Thomas that I have, or the blue Thomas that is. It's quite a nice 5-pole open frame motor. The motor on the new LBSC number 70 Thomas is kind of a sealed can motor. No idea whether it's 3 or 5 pole, but I can actually confirm that these do have different motors. Is it going to perform better? Is it going to perform worse? I'm not too sure, but that is really, really interesting. I have checked the gauge. This came in at 0.2 millimeters too tight on each axle, which is fairly typical of Bachmann, I've found recently. However, I don't think that's enough to cause any major problems, although if there is any sort of tightness on curves and things, that might explain it. And finally, the weight is absolutely pants. This weighs in at 82 grams, which makes it the lightest steam locomotive I have ever weighed, except for Stephenson's Rocket. How can it be so light and so expensive? I don't understand. So you're not going to be seeing this haul very much. Annie and Clarabelle and a few wagons, sure. A big train of coaches or anything even close to that? I don't think so. At least not unless you've got straight and level track. Okay, let's give him a test then. He has not yet been running, so this might not be his best performance ever. But here he goes straight out of the box. Although he didn't come in a box. Out of the bubble pack. Here we go. Turning up. Oh, 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 oh. All right, folks, that is a crawl. And that is a stall. Oh, kind of. I think he just needs a bit more, doesn't he? Oh. Oof, sounds a bit tractor-like. Blimey, listen to that. Lord. I hope that goes away as the thing runs in. Crikey. Right, I just took him onto the bench to do another disassembly just to make absolutely sure that I didn't put him back together wrong, although obviously I do know what I'm doing with loco mechanisms. But no, everything is put together as it should be, so that is actually the noise this makes. Yeah, literally checked all of the gears, made sure everything was put together properly, everything is correct. That is just literally the noise it makes. This Thomas is a gift that keeps on giving, isn't it? But like I say, it hasn't yet been run in. Maybe it will get much better as it goes. It does seem to be pretty smooth. It's just a horrible, horrible noise. Okay, let's try that crawl again, shall we? Real slow. Okay. So, I mean, as it's stalled. There we are. So the crawl isn't very good. I do really wonder then whether the change in motor is responsible for the different performance, because my other Bachmann Thomas I think is a really good crawler. I'll get this run in, I mean we'll see how it runs after that, because maybe it will be much, much better. But yeah, if they have downgraded to a 3-pole motor, and I'm not sure if, I can't find out if they have without dismantling the thing, and I don't know if I'd be able to put the motor back together again. That is something that I cannot guarantee. So yeah, I'm not really able to find out, but it will be interesting to see how the two perform once they've both been running properly. Right, go on then Thomas, 50% speed. Here plugs in, let's see how you get on. Yeah, that is not a healthy sounding locomotive. What is the matter with it? There is definitely nothing wrong internally. I mean, all of the pickups are where they're supposed to be, the gears are meshing properly, all of the screws are nice and tight. Yeah, there's nothing wrong that I can see. It's just quite a rumpus. Maybe I could try lubricating it, but then that's not very fair, is it? I'm supposed to review them as they come out of the box. So, yeah, I will see you in a little while. In fact, we'll do some crawling tests with the Blue Thomas while this one runs in. And then hopefully he'll be performing and sounding a little bit more healthily after the running in. Because at the moment, I'm ever so slightly scared. Okay. Let's have a benchmark then for the Blue Thomas, which does definitely have a 5-pole motor. So this is the performance that the new LBSC Green Thomas will have to match or beat in order for me to not say that the new Thomas has been downgraded. So here we go. Let's try a crawl. Whoa. Looks kind of different, doesn't it? It's still stalling, a little bit like the other one was. Let's try again in reverse. It is much smoother. But this is a fully running locomotive that has been serviced by me a few times. And there goes the LBSC one. Yeah, I mean that is considerably better, isn't it? Oh dear. And listen to how quiet it is. Let me just turn off the other Thomas. So here's 50% speed, just like the green one was going at. Here we go. Man, quite a bit quieter, isn't it? Let's have the LBSC one again. Crikey. There's literally no difference between the two besides the motor, though. Wow. Well, there's some improvement to do then before it runs as well as this one does. And this is much slower as well. I mean, look, that is 50% right there. That's 50%. Well, that's very interesting. I'll see you in, well, it'll be about 40 minutes now. And we'll see if the performance is any better after the running in period. Okay folks, there we go, running in has concluded, and for the most part the performance is absolutely fine. It is very smooth, once you look past the noise at least. It's very smooth, no slowing down on curves, gradients, anything like that. Seems absolutely fine. It's also much quieter in reverse than it is going forwards. I thought that would even out as the running in went on, but no, it hasn't. So here we go, here's backwards, listen. Okay, reasonably noisy, still noisier than the old Blue Thomas, but forwards, really unhealthy. So I'm not going to say that they've downgraded the motor because I haven't opened up the motor and looked at the quality of it and counted the poles or anything along those lines, but I will say the old 5-pole motor is gone. Also, this is running incredibly noisily and it seems as though the performance isn't quite as good as the blue version, the older blue version with the old motor. Well, that was the case before running in took place. Is the crawl any better now? Let's find out. Turning it up real slow, trying to get it to just kick in at the slowest possible speed. And no, the performance is not as good as the blue version. As you can see, that is inching along quite jerkily. It's not even as slow, and yet it's still considerably less smooth. Wow, I mean, this is nitpicking really because it's still fine, isn't it? It's fine for what it is. Although, I don't know, perhaps for 70 quid you might expect better. But yeah, for what it is, that's not terrible. But it's definitely not as good as the blue version. However, now that it has run in and all the pickups are nice and fresh and such, it doesn't seem to be cutting out as much as it was before. It literally started to cut out as I was saying that, but I turned it up and it got away with it. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's not the greatest crawler in the world. It's a toy, so maybe that isn't ultra important. The price does call the mechanism into question a little bit, doesn't it? But it does work as it's supposed to, and despite the noise, it seems to run absolutely fine. The eye mechanism works pretty well. I'll hopefully get some shots of that working in a second once he's run up and running. Another thing is that there are no front couplings on these models. That's a real shame, isn't it? You can't do proper shunting and such. Yeah, really for £70 you don't want any missing features at all, do you? And the lack of front coupling is a real pity, especially when there is actually space for one to be fitted. They just haven't fitted it. I'm not entirely sure why. Nonetheless, I've set up 3 Southern coaches for Thomas to try and handle. I thought since he's in such an unconventional livery, I would steer clear from Annie and Clarabelle and give him some unconventional coaches as well. So we've got 3 Southern coaches. I do think that will be a challenge for Thomas, particularly with my curves and my gradients, because the pulling power on this is absolutely awful because of the weight. He obviously only weighs 82 grams. I measured a tractive effort of 0.06 newtons, which should allow him to haul 8 coaches on straight and level track, but obviously on my gradients and such it's going to be much, much less than that. So I'll be actually quite impressed if he does manage 3 coaches, but let's find out whether he does or not. Here we go. Reverse, reverse, reverse. Okay, successful coupling. I'll be surprised. Ooh, yeah, seems it. Because the Bachmann Thomas couplings are big chunky things, and my Hornby coaches here have the modern slim tension lock couplings. But no, they seem to actually go together fairly nicely. Let's go forwards, see how he runs. Here we go. Well, he is moving the coaches. I'll set him to about 40 speed. I think that's reasonable. See how he gets on. Well, since my LBSC Thomas hasn't got Annie and Clarabelle, I thought I would let the Blue Thomas handle those. This is the Blue Bachmann Thomas. Maybe I should try the Bachmann Annie and Clarabelle. I mean, I expect they'll set me back about £900 or something. But no, I've only got the Thomas ones at the moment, so those are the ones I'm running. And then on the inside line, I thought I would show off my other LBSC Thomas. This is Hornby's version. well, I say it's Hornby's version, it isn't really. I just took a Hornby E2 and put a Thomas face on it, but that's kind of what it looks like in the brown, of course, with a bit of a good strain. And with that, let's catch up with the Bachmann Thomas. Can it handle 3 coaches? Let's wait and see. Here we go. Now, you'd usually expect a loco of this size to manage 3 coaches quite easily, but when you've got it in your hands, you start to second guess, you know, is it actually going to be able to manage them? Oh, the noise. It's even louder. But it has managed it. Sounds like he's got a bit of a bowel trouble while he's doing it, but he did actually manage with 3 coaches, yes. So yeah, I mean, it is fit for purpose. I just can't stop thinking about the fact that this cost me £70. I mean, his face might look like he's escaped from some sort of correctional facility, but really, I am the crazy one spending that kind of money, knowing full well what it's going to be like. But I didn't really have much of a choice. I just saw it, thought, yeah, that is really cool. I'd really like to do a video on one, and here we are. I mean, I did this so you don't have to. If you decide to do it as well, don't blame me, it ain't my fault, okay? Oh, good. Okay, let's have some ratings then for the LBSC 70 Thomas by Bachmann. So the level of detail I thought was actually okay. I should say I'm no expert on Thomas and Friends, so if you have spotted inaccuracies in this model that I didn't, do feel free to let me know down in the comments. But to be honest with you, this looks exactly, well, I've looked at the photos at least, this looks exactly like the Thomas that appeared in the show, with the exception of the face. I have never seen Thomas look anywhere near that manic on TV before, so it does lose a star for that face, even though it did bring me much entertainment. The performance I've given 4-star. Bachmann are very lucky that I don't deduct points for noise, because if I did, this would be getting a much lower score because it makes a right racket as it runs around. But actually, even though the slow speed performance isn't as good as the old Thomas, it is still pretty decent. It runs fairly smoothly, fairly constantly, no problems on points or curves or anything of that description. So yeah, it has to get a fairly decent score on performance. The pulling power is absolutely naff all, basically. On straight and level track, you can expect this to handle 8 coaches. Obviously that diminishes massively once you start introducing gradients and curves, so absolutely rubbish pulling power, and he only weighs 82 grams, so it's no surprise. The mechanism, I've given this a slightly higher score than I did the Busy Bee James, because obviously there's no tender to not have pickups in, but you've still got the no proper bearings on the wheel set, no flywheel on the motor or anything like that, and we're also missing the front coupling, which is a shame. You know, there's play value in that front coupling, so your kid's probably not going to enjoy this as much as they would the Hornby version, despite the Hornby version not being as accurate. The quality I've also given 3-star. First of all, it loses a point for the sheer lack of weight. It's fine that there are no metal details and no metal running plate, but they should have found a way to add more weight inside the model so that the engine can actually do what you ask of it, so it's a shame about that. And also the quality of the mechanism leaves quite a bit to be desired as well, so I've knocked off a star for that. Value for money then, RRP $109, which is about £80, ridiculous. £70, that's what I paid from Tootley Thomas, still insanely expensive, obviously a bit less ridiculous than £80, but this is a tiny, very basic locomotive with very little detailing, the most bare bones mechanism they could possibly have gotten away with, rubbish packaging, etc, etc. £70 is simply too much for this. To be honest, this is only really fit for collectors, to be quite honest with you. I wouldn't really recommend this as a toy, although it is reasonably functional as a toy, I suppose, but it's just an awful lot of money, isn't it? Overall then, that is 6.00 out of 10, fairly modest score, isn't it, that? Into the logbook, there he is, oh, 8th, just below Busy Bee James. Sorry about that, Thomas. But yeah, it's not too bad. I have enjoyed looking at it. I must say as well, the decoration is really good. I didn't mention that on the detail section, but I really did like the decoration. So yeah, well done, Bachmann. It's not too bad. Better mechanism, please. Lower price, please. And maybe we'll get a better score. Well folks, I'm sorry that I'm not just full of positive things to say about this. I know it makes me sound a little bit grumpy, but you know, it's just, I've got to be honest about these things, because if I said it was amazing and people went out and bought one and was disappointed by it, then that would be on me, wouldn't it really? So yeah, I've got to tell you what I think. However, you should know that I have really enjoyed this today. It's always an entertaining experience, especially discovering things like that face. and seeing the livery and all the other stuff that's happened, yeah, I wouldn't miss it for the world. So I have enjoyed it. The model, as per usual, wasn't really what it should have been, but I kind of knew that anyway before I bought it, and that was always out on the table anyway, wasn't it? But yeah, it is what it is. Not worth the money, I don't think, but works kind of as it should. Sans the noise, I guess. And so overall, yeah, it's fine. It is absolutely fine. Well, thank you very, very much for watching, folks. Do let me know down in the comments what you thought about this. Was I too harsh? Was I not harsh enough? Let me know your thoughts, particularly if you know more about Thomas and Friends than I do. And to answer the question, should you buy this for your kids? Well, it's the same answer as with the James, really. If it's all they want in the world and you've got the money to spend, then sure, why not? They're not absolutely terrible, but again, just be aware that they're not built to the highest of standards, and you're going to want to supervise if your kids do play with this, because obviously they are a little bit on the fragile side, but overall, yeah, not too bad at all. Okay, folks, catch you on the next one. Cheers, everybody.